Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. This is Charles from my channel Books on Stereo, and these are the books that you have to read if you love the Netflix TV show The Squid Games. Now, if you haven't heard anything about the Squid Games, I'm not going to tell you. Go Google it. It's the biggest show on Earth currently at this moment. Like, just crawl out of your rock and check Twitter, check any social media, or do a Google search, and you will find out that this show is taking over the world. But for those of you who are too lazy to go do your own research, I'll give you a little glimpse as to what the plot is of this TV show. So essentially, we follow a group of characters. They're all kind of down on their luck. They owe a lot of money. They're in constant debt, and they get offered an opportunity to participate in this competition where all they have to do is play 6 childhood games and they can win 45.6 billion won. But without further ado, let's get into the books. So up first we have And Then There Were None by Agatha Christie. So in this book we basically follow a group of strangers. They all receive a very mysterious invitation to this house on this remote island. They all show up at this house and basically they have no way of getting off this island, and then things get deadly when the guests start dropping like flies one after one. And I absolutely love this book. It is a classic mystery. It is so incredibly good. Like, if you haven't read this book, you guys need to go read that, especially if you love the show The Squid Games. Then we have Killers of the Flower Moon by David Graham, and this is a non-fiction historical book. And don't let that worry you because it does not read like non-fiction. It reads more like narrative non-fiction. And if you don't know what that is, Google it. But in this book, we follow a group of Osage Indians. They have their own reservation, which is basically land granted them by the U.S. government. But the thing is that on this land, there's a very huge oil deposit that can provide a lot of money to whoever has control of that land. And you know how people are. People are moving in on the area. They want a piece of this action. They want a piece of the money. And then slowly but surely, each and every one of those Osage Indians begins to die or disappear through very mysterious circumstances. And I absolutely love this book, and I believe this one is going to be adapted into a film as well. Then we have Dark Places by Gillian Flynn, and this essentially follows our heroine in 2 different time points. So we follow her when she's a little girl, and on one deadly night, her whole family gets murdered, and except for her older brother, and everyone thinks that her older brother was the person who killed the rest of her family. And then we fast forward to when she's an adult, and then she begins to uncover some secrets about that night that she did not know, which could reveal to very earth-shattering revelations. Absolutely love this book. This book is very, very dark and very, very bleak, and it's a very grim depiction of what a parent may possibly do to provide for the kids. And that's all I'm going to say about this book. Absolutely loved it. Then we have the Wayward Trilogy by Blake Crouch, and essentially in this book is kind of like your dystopian mystery thriller type story. And in this book we follow our main hero. He's the FBI agent who was sent to the town of Wayward Pines to investigate the disappearance of his fellow colleague, another FBI agent. But upon entering the town, he gets into a very bad car accident and then wakes up in the town's hospital and immediately senses that something's off about this town. Absolutely love this trilogy. You will want to read these books back to back to back. It's such an engaging trilogy, and if you want, there is a TV show. I don't recommend it. It's not the best, but yes, absolutely love this one. Then up next we have the Psy Trilogy by Neal Shusterman, and essentially this takes place in a world where there is no death. So essentially humanity has overcome death. So you can essentially live basically forever if you want to. And then you have these things called resets where you can, once you reach a certain age, you can choose to default back to a certain age, and you can live at that age for the rest of your life. So essentially you can be 20 for the rest of your life. And you may be saying, what's the catch? And the catch is that you have these people called Psys who basically have a death quota that they need to fulfill every quarter. And so essentially they can just kill a bunch of people to maintain the population levels, because if you think about it, if everyone can live forever, overpopulation becomes an issue. And within the Psydom, even though it's supposed to be a very virtuous position, it's not quite all that it seems. And that's all I'm gonna say about this trilogy. Absolutely loved it. It is YA, but don't let the YA label scare you. It is very gruesome at times and very violent, and I absolutely loved it. Then up next I have Lock Every Door by Riley Sager, and this essentially follows our heroine. She is down on her luck, which is very similar to some of the characters in the Squid Games, and she gets a mysterious job offer where all she has to do is just watch over this apartment in this very posh building. But once she enters into this apartment, she notices weird things are starting to happen, and The atmosphere in this book is absolutely amazing. The reveal is not my favorite, but the atmosphere is what you come for when you read a Riley Sager book. And this one is absolutely his best book ever that he's ever written so far. Then we have The Chain by Adrian McKinty, and this is basically like Jaws for parents with kids. So in this book, we basically have this ring that is basically a child abduction ring. And so essentially your child gets captured, and in order to get your child back, the parent has to go kidnap another person's child, and then the chain continues on from there. And the only caveat about this chain is that you cannot reveal to anyone the details about it, or you and your child could end up hurt. And so we follow our heroine. Her child gets stolen, and her brother-in-law, I believe, are out to find her daughter and uncover what exactly is going on in this chain. And so I absolutely love this book. It is so scary, so atmospheric, and the things that our characters are willing to do to get their daughter back is absolutely terrifying. And it kind of makes me realize, like, what would I do to get my child back? What would I go through to get my child back? And this book is absolutely fantastic. Such an action-packed read. And then finally, I have to mention this book, even though the last book in the series absolutely sucks. It is a Hunger Games series by Suzanne Collins. I'm like, this is like the OG survival like Squid Games that I can find in book form. And if you haven't heard about the Hunger Games, there's movies, there's books. It's everywhere. Like, if you haven't heard the premise about this series, I really need you to question your reading taste and go read this series, because it's absolutely amazing, and then go read and go watch the films. But I would say, I have to say, stay away from the Ballads of Songbirds and Snakes. I believe that's the title. Not my favorite book, but the trilogy itself is absolutely fantastic. And it's probably one of the best YA trilogies out there in existence. Alright, thank you guys so much for watching this video. Let me know down in the comment section down below if you would survive a Squid Games. And also let me know if you have any recommendations for me, and I'll catch you guys with a brand new video. Peace.